Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Awakening Potential Show, where we get to explore the hidden paths to unlocking your greatest potential. Each episode invites you to discover fresh perspectives, untold stories, and transformative ideas shared by remarkable individuals who have mastered the art of growth. Here, it's not just about reaching for success, it's about understanding the journey, seeing the possibilities, and realizing extraordinary is within. So let's begin the journey together today. And today on the Awakening Potential Show, we have an incredible guest whose journey embodies resilience, Kristy Hunter. She is a vocal empowerment coach, a concert keynote speaker, the founder of the Heart Centered Speaker Network, and with over a decade of experience, she's helped hundreds of students build confidence, connect deeply with audiences, and empowers others to not only find their own voice, but to really bring their authentic voices from the heart and impact on stages and more. So through her courses, podcasting, and speaker networking, she's passionate about creating these spaces where people feel seen, heard, and ready to step into their boldness towards their dream. A person after my own heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and welcome, Kristy Hunter. We're thrilled to have you here and to share your journey with and wisdom with us all.
Karen, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm so excited to be here and just get to tell a little bit of my own story.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking behind the scenes. So we all have stories, and it's what we do with them, right? It's a choice. But before you get into like the present day story and where you're at today, I'm curious, like what was the past story? Where did you come from, and what brought you to that one thing that awakened your potential?
Well, I have been a performer my whole life. I'm the youngest of 11 children.
Mhm.
And because there was 11 children in my family, in order to like be seen, you had to be kind of loud. And so I found from a very young age, if I was twirling and singing in the middle of the room, people paid attention a little bit. So from a young age, I was in my first play when I was 5 years old.
Mhm.
And I just learned to love the stage. I loved singing, I loved acting. I did performing all through school and high school. I was in the drama club presidency and choir presidencies and all of those fun things. And I just loved music and performing. In college, I wanted to be a music therapist, but they didn't have that program at my college. Like it wasn't available. And I had a scholarship. So I was like, well, I kind of need to go here because I have, it's paid for. So I ended up becoming a recreational therapist with a
Mhm.
minor in music and have used theater and acting and music as my modality for working with all kinds of people. So that was
Mhm.
kind of how I kind of got into that realm. But more than just using music, because as a recreational therapist, we worked a lot with psychology and a lot with helping people overcome their limitations, right? Because things will happen whether I worked in a lot of care centers with people who had strokes or people who had a lot of physical limitations. And it's amazing because if somebody has a stroke and they can't speak, they can often still sing. It actually
Mhm.
impacts a different part of their brain. And so
Wow.
I could help them learn to actually sing their needs and be able to tell people what they need through song. And it was such a magical ability to help people who had lost one ability, but then to train them in a new ability that could give them that feeling of control and this ability to do something with it.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. I wanted to be also with music, and I haven't done anything with music. I keep saying I'm going to learn to play the guitar. I remember starting on the piano and my kids were little, and my oldest would like bunk me off the seat and like start practicing. And I went, well, that's one way to get them to practice.
Right.
I
Well, and
never got to finish.
what's interesting is when I was younger, I play mostly by ear. I can read music, but I've always struggled with
Right.
like taking sheet music and playing both hands together. And as a kid, when I was in piano lessons, I would take the music home and I'd have like my brother or my sister or someone play it, and then I could just play it by ear. And I would fake out my teachers. I'm like, yeah, I learned it. And what happened with that is I got to the point that I could play a lot of songs and I would write my own music. But I
Uh,
remember in high school, I had somebody, be like, wow, you're really good at the piano. And then they put sheet music in front of me and I couldn't play it. And in that moment, I made a limiting belief about myself that because I couldn't read any piece of sheet music someone gave me, I wasn't a musician.
mm,
And so I kind of became like a closet songwriter. I would write songs on my guitar, I would write songs on the piano, but I didn't know how to put them into actual notes. Instead,
right.
I would just record them on my phone, or I would write out the chords. So I would have the chords written out, the chord names, just like G, F, the different things. And I didn't want, it was like I'm just like a fake musician. I just do it on the side, which is really
Mm.
really sad because I wrote over 100 songs between the time I was like 18 until I was 45. This is the first year I released songs.
Do you still have those songs that
I
you
do. I
create?
have a whole book of all my
Oh,
songs. I have a
okay.
whole book of all my songs. And I went through the years of raising my kids. I mean, some of my songs are so silly. Like I used to sing the song to my little girl when she was first born. I goes, I only want mama to hold me. I only want mama to scold me. Just mama. Nobody else will do. Right? And they're just like these
Mm,
funny little ditties that I would sing to my kids.
love
And
it.
but they got me through all of the different things in my life. And they became kind of my therapy, right? That's why I would go into my closet when I was having a really hard day, when things were really struggling. I dealt with 10 years of infertility, and
Mm,
I wrote a song called Broken Dreams that was
mm,
just all about this feeling of everyone else gets to have kids, everyone else gets to accomplish the things they want. Why can't I? Because it
mm,
just felt so unfair. And it was just really a plea to God, like, please help me. Like, help
mm.
me not be bitter. Help me overcome this. How do I not become bitter in this world of broken dreams? How do I continue to raise my voice and sing? Right? Like the words would just come from my soul,
Love it.
from what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was in Forbes Riley's group where we met
Mhm.
it was in the November, almost a year ago. Were you
Yeah,
in the breakthrough
I
that
was
I had?
in there. Yes. That was like, whoa.
So that is actually the moment that changed my life because
Tell the if you share it with
can
the
I share a
people.
little bit
Yes,
about that? So though I
please,
had been a
please.
performer for years, I performed for years. I was a music director for Center Stage Youth Performers. I work with like 100 students there every year. I would music direct at Lakeview Academy. I probably teach over 200 people a year how to sing and how to perform. I had been too scared to put myself out there
Mm,
as like my own music, as me being the songwriter, right? I was doing other people's music, other people's words, other people's place. And I
mm,
was in Forbes Riley's breakthrough that I'd actually joined her pitching class to learn more about how to talk about myself, right? And
right.
how to present things. And I got invited to come into this, and it was not a coincidence. It was definitely divine,
Never. Yeah.
right? That she picked me. And I was really emotional that day. And I was trying to make some decisions. And she basically called me out for playing small.
Mm,
She's like, you've been playing small your whole life. Like, why? And I was blaming other people. I was mad that other people in my life were successful, siblings or uncles, and everyone else is rich and everyone else is accomplishing everything. And I'm a teacher's wife and I can't, just blaming other people. And she called me out about that and said, no one is stopping you. This day and age, how can you not be releasing your music?
mm,
And she had me sing. She was playing a song called Someone Like You, which is from Jekyll and Hyde. And after we did this breakthrough where I cried and screamed and yelled and let go of a lot of emotion over a lot of things,
Never will.
right? If you It's pretty intense. I will say it was an intense
Yes.
experience, but it was empowering because she not only made me take responsibility for being
Right.
where I was, but then I had to thank myself and then say I love you. Like
Mm,
forgive myself for not playing bigger. Forgive myself for not taking the chances, right? And
Exactly.
she plays this song and we're all listening to it and I'm singing along. And at the end of it, she turns on the mic. She goes, Kristy, do you know this song? Because we were all muted. And I was like, yeah, this was the first Broadway show I'd ever seen when I was 18. I had performed the song multiple times. And she had me sing for everyone in that room.
And there were a lot of people in
And
that
there were a
room.
lot of people in that room. And I sang, if someone like you found someone like me, then suddenly nothing would ever be the same. And I sang the song, and it was amazing. Like, the room gave me a standing ovation, as you can on Zoom.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And she said, doesn't matter if you've never been to Broadway, because you have a gift and it's your job to share it. And I got off of that call and I called and made an appointment with a recording studio that day.
Mhm. Wow, awesome.
And that was my first song I recorded, was Someone Like You. And then this year I've recorded and launched 10 of my original songs. And
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I'm so excited for you, Kristy. That is amazing, amazing. One of the things I heard you say a little bit ago, and I don't want to skip over it, because there are a lot of people who, this is awakening potential, and there's a lot of potential in each and every one of us. And often we forget, right? Because we're so busy giving and giving to everybody else, we forget our own potential. And one of the things I heard you say was you, in essence, go into the closet and write for yourself, right? And it was therapy. The same thing people say to me, wow, Karen, you got all these books. Well, yeah, but that's therapy. I was just sharing with my girlfriend this morning as we were on a conversation because she started writing. And I said, I remember, if I may, just for a second, I remember when I had my accident, and I'm no stranger to doing collaborative books. It's like, you pay your money, it's 2,500 words and 7 pages. That it's about 7 pages. And after my accident, I wrote down 14 pages. I just emoted it, right? It's a way of emoted. Singing is a way of emoting it and getting it out of your body. Because when we hold on to it, that's where the ease or disease is going to come from. And if you're holding on to it, more than likely it's going to be dis-ease, and that's where the illnesses come from. So I'm so grateful to hear that that you were able to find a ways and means of emoting it. And now look at you. I mean, you don't need to emote anything because you're there. Man. Amazing. It's so that to me is awakening your potential big time. And it's being yes, right? Being yes for you. And I love that. I'm so proud of you.
well, and
And being with you.
recognizing, like, I'll tell you, this was a funny story because it was really scary that to push like send on the Disco Kid to like launch my first song. My kids and my husband were all in the room. It's like, you can do it, Mom. You can do it. And I did it. I sent it. And all of a sudden, it's live on Amazon. And guess what? A record label did not call me the next day.
Mhm.
And it was an interesting thing because the next day it had happened. It was out there. And my life hadn't drastically changed.
Mhm.
And then I went, Kristy, why are you publishing your songs? What is the point of this? I had just published one.
Yeah.
And I realized I wanted my music out there so that my kids and my grandkids and my posterity would know that Kristy Hunter was a songwriter.
Absolutely.
And it had nothing to do with whether I had millions of fans or how many
Exactly.
people downloaded it. It
Mhm.
was to say, I had a gift. God gave me words. God gave me music. And I
Um,
want people to know that it's now here for those who need it. And I hope it finds the ears of those who need it. And it was really beautiful for me to kind of separate that, like, this was going to make me uber successful, or this was like, because it was like, what is your reason?
mhm.
And my reason was my posterity. Is I'm like, I want to be known. I want to be able to say, yeah, I was a songwriter. And I was
Yeah.
proud of my songs. I was proud enough to put them out in the world and also tell my students. I have so many talented students who are songwriters and who create music and are beautiful voices. And I'm like, now I can tell them, publish your music,
Yeah.
publish it, get it out there because it needs to be heard. It's not just for the closet.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I remember Wayne Dyer saying, we all have a song within us, right? And it's not necessarily the song, right? It's also the story. It's also getting who you are, your gift out there is the way I really perceive that. And I loved that, always stuck with me, always stuck with me. So,
I also love the fact I've become more of a concert keynote speaker. I get to go places and share my songs and tell the stories of why I wrote the song and then uplift my audience and help them overcome the things going on in their lives. I've written a couple different speeches. One is called The Steps to Overcoming Overwhelm, because I feel so many of us live in overwhelm, and
absolutely,
we need to have specific steps we can take to get through those hard times, because it's not like the hard times don't keep coming,
exactly.
right? We have to work through those. And so I've done that. And then another one about, are you the coach or the critic? Because so many of us are criticizing ourselves and have that negative mindset, and needing to be our biggest cheerleader. We have to show up for ourselves. And I think
Absolutely.
that's such an important piece. And so in both of those, I'll sing some different songs and speak. And that's one of my favorite things to do, is just show up and help people see that it's through expression. And whether you're an artist or a musician or a writer, that's
Mhm.
one of the first steps of pushing yourself forward and healing. And I completely agree with you. I'm so glad that you write as part of your way of expressing. But if
Yeah,
we
exactly.
don't express those emotions, you're so right, we'll end up with chronic illness.
Yeah, energy and motion. Emotion is energy and motion, and how do we emote it, right? Because otherwise you're embodying it. And I know you and I have had a similar experience, if you're open for talking about it. Serious, a very, it wasn't a pleasant experience, right? And life is going to throw us curveballs that just stop you in your tracks. And I love the fact that you wrote the song The Phoenix around it. If you wouldn't mind sharing a little
Yes.
bit about it to your
Okay, so this is not a fun story. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the funnest story. We were having a really positive year. I had spoken on multiple stages. I've been on multiple podcasts. I tripled my studio size. I was like, things are going great, and I wanted to get into investing. We had sold a piece of property. We had some income to invest. We'd gotten a HELOC on our house. We're like, we're going to invest. And I had been trying to learn a lot from Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I was studying the law of attraction. I was doing a lot trying to really understand stuff. And I ended up clicking on a link on Facebook about, do you want to learn to invest? And I was like, yes, I do. And I ended up getting involved in a 6-month scam where they told me that they were an investing company. They had a fake website, they had a fake LinkedIn. I was connected to a specific mentor that would help me every day in figuring out my Robinhood account and what to invest in and when to buy and when to sell. And I was winning. Like, they were helping me win. I was excited. And the more I won, the more they encouraged me to invest. And
Mhm.
then it got to the point that I could only be in the VIP investments, right? Like, and then you had to have a minimum of $50,000, right? So they were getting bigger and bigger. Anyway, it ended up being a pump and dump scheme, and I lost 6 figures in a matter of 15 minutes when they pulled the plug. And it was devastating, because 6 figures when your husband's a middle school teacher and you're a vocal coach is a lot to lose.
Exactly.
And I spent about 14 days just a puddle of tears, where I was actually in New York with my youth group co-teachers, other teachers that are directors of center stage youth performers. We had gone to New York City to kind of see how things were, what shows to take our kids to, different things like that. When it happened, I was like, I had my own Wall Street crash while in New York City. And it almost felt like a dream, almost felt like I was walking around in a daze. I remember calling my husband, who was supportive the whole way. We really thought we were winning. We were $40,000 ahead when they pulled the plug.
Yeah.
And he was the sweetest thing. I have to say, the one thing I learned so much is that my husband loves me a lot, because I'm having this event, I'm a mess, and he's like, just come home, just get home safe. It's just money. We're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And he called me multiple times a day the next 3 days while I was still there, just making sure I was safe, making sure I was okay, making sure I wasn't going to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. Like, he was like, "Hurry, come home, right?" And I did. I came home. I had spent about 14 days really down. And I woke up one morning and I said, I'm done. I had submitted everything to the police. I'd submitted everything to the SEC, all of those. And I said, they don't get one more minute of my life.
There you
And,
go.
and I
Love that.
wrote a song called The Phoenix as part of a way of realizing, like, I get to choose what my future is, and I'm going to rise above this. And
Exactly.
so this is how it goes. I'm just going to sing the bridge and the chorus, but it goes like this. No more tears, only dreams. Life is more than it seems. Scam before, but never again. Learning, soaring with no end. Rise like a phoenix, burning bright. Out from the shadows into the light. Lost it all, but I'm reborn from the fire. A new dawn, a new dawn.
I love that. You have an incredible voice, incredible. It's definitely Broadway as far as I'm concerned. And I'm a theater fanatic. I love theater.
Well, now that I've been to Broadway enough times, I don't think I'd want to live there anyway.
No,
It's a hard life. I have a
to
few
visit.
friends that
Yeah.
have done Broadway, and it's a complete. It would be hard. I have 3 kids. It would be
Yeah.
hard to be a mother and do all the other things that I do and have that life, right? It would be a different choice, and for some people, it's the perfect choice. And I
Exactly.
think there were moments that I regretted not going for my dreams when I was younger. But now I realize my life is perfect the way it is because it's the way God planned it. I have beautiful children that I love and that are so talented, and I wouldn't give up a moment with any of them. My oldest son, I adopted him when he was 5, and I was his 5th mom, and he's 23 now, and we have an amazing relationship. We had a lot of rough years, and I've written songs about those years. But we have an amazing relationship, and I have a 15-year-old who creates the most beautiful murals. She's an artist, and she sews ball gowns, and she's just the most creative thing in the world. And I have a cute little 10-year-old who is so imaginative, and she decorates her room, and I just think, I created humans who are now creating more, and putting that time and energy into them is just as important as any Broadway dream I had when I was 18.
Exactly, exactly. And to know that you still have that gift and you're utilizing it, it's still a beautiful way of expressing yourself, and I love that. I once did, I remember I was in the hospital in Costa Rica when I had broken my hip from a horseback riding accident, and I remember I had signed up 50, I call them 58 souls for my vocal, right? Why using your voice is so important. And I had collaborated with another vocal talent, such as yourself. And he says to me, Karen, we're going to cancel this, right? And IV drips in my hospital gown, I showed up
I
for those.
believe it.
I showed up for those people because you know what? It wasn't about me. It was about bringing, like you, bringing it to the world, no matter what the circumstances are. And we all have circumstances. And it was probably the best moment of my life. And I got to tell you, while I was doing it for that hour and a half, I felt no pain, no pain.
That's amazing.
The how would you, as a vocal coach, why is vocal confidence so important? And it's more than just singing.
It is. It's in every aspect of your life. So I work with people, not only singers and performers, but I also work with people who just are timid, people
Yeah,
who were told that their voice didn't matter.
yeah,
A lot of women who are like going through divorce or through relationships that are really hard. I'm certified as a breakthrough facilitator. And so
mm,
I will work with people to release the trapped emotions in their throat chakra
exactly.
and then connect that to their heart chakra. I do a meditation with a lot of people as I'm helping them release these emotions because my company is called The Vocal Connection. because I truly believe that people don't hear the words we say, they
Uh-huh.
hear our heart.
Absolutely.
And it's so important for us to actually connect. We go through life where we're mostly up here and we're not connected to our true feelings. And we say things that we think we want other people to hear. We people please all the time, where it's
Yeah,
like, ooh, maybe if I say this, I'll get what I need. Or if I say this, or if I say this, instead of actually going, what is it I actually need? What do I really want to say? What do I really want to connect with? And I think that's where so much miscommunication happens.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so when you actually help people release those past experiences, the past traumas, whether it was a teacher that told them they needed to be quiet, or a parent or a friend, or whatever experience it was, right? An embarrassing moment that made them feel like I need to be quiet, I need to shut off my voice. As we break through those limiting beliefs and come out of it, all of a sudden people are empowered to actually tell people what they need. They're actually able to say at work, like, actually, I deserve a raise, and these are the reasons why, and these are the things I can bring. and
Exactly.
and I've seen amazing results with my clients who have been able to do that, and also then being able to take their stories to the stage. I've helped quite a few people prepare their stories and prepare to take the stage, which is one of the reasons I started Heart Centered Speaker Network, is because
Yeah,
I
tell us.
love it's on school, so it's a school group, and you can get a free week if you click on the link as part of this podcast. There's a link to there. But the point of the group is to come together and practice speaking about yourself in short, like 2-minute segments.
Love
Because
it.
when you can make it succinct, then you can make it kind of like an audition that you can turn in to different podcasts, to different conferences. And this helps you not only show what you can speak about and show people what your true purpose is, right? Because brevity is harder in a lot of ways than just
Exactly.
talking for an hour, right? To bring that
Exactly.
down to really what are the nuts? What are the nuts and bolts of what you're trying to say? And so we help people do that. But most importantly, and my favorite part, is bringing the emotional arch. Making sure that you have, what do you really want them to feel?
Exactly.
And as people realize, oh, I want my audience to feel this at this part when I tell this story. I want my audience to feel empathy, or I want them to feel excitement, or I want them to feel sorrow. What do I want them to feel? And then making sure that final emotion you want them to feel is something that is empowering, something that is helping them see that there is a light, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is something that they can do to achieve more, right? Because we want that arc to come up so that they end wanting to work with you, wanting to be with you, wanting to do more. And I feel like that's where transformation happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Christie's, all of her information, including the gift for the 7-day trial, will be in the show notes. So make sure you go there. All her contact information will be there if you want to reach out to Christy for sure. Christy, I'm curious, what was that one thing within yourself that awakened your potential?
I have to say that this last year, I went to this, I ended up at a real estate conference in November. That's where I met Forbes. And I ended up there because my son, I bought a ticket for him because he was interested in real estate, and then he couldn't go. But I'd paid a lot of money for this ticket. And so I was like, well, I'm going to go.
Love synchronicity.
And so I showed up to this event. It was a Chris Crone Unleash Your Financial Destiny event. It was a 4-day event. And I showed up at this event, and I was in the process of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I'd been teaching voice and stuff on the side as a side gig for quite a few years. And I was the marketing director for my sister's company, Cindy Woodcrafts. But she was in the process of moving towards retirement, and she'd asked if I wanted to take over a looming business, and I really didn't. Not because I didn't love the people. I loved the people. I loved working with the customers. I loved that. But I didn't really love knitting looms or making them. And I realized I wanted to do something else, and I wasn't sure what. And I didn't believe that music could be a full-time career. I thought it was just a side thing. That's what is the limiting belief I had in my head.
Right.
And so I went to this meeting, and I was there, and I was sitting by this guy. His name was Jonathan. And he was pumped up. He's like, yes, we're here. Like, I've never seen so much energy. And the lady on stage, her name was Marianne Hickman. She's actually a mentor of mine now. She's told us to turn to the person next to us and tell us why we were there and what we wanted to get out of it. And I looked at this man and I said, I don't know who I am. I don't know why I'm here. And I don't know where I'm going. And he looked at me so confident. And he said, if you give 100% the next 4 days, I promise by the end of it, you will know who you are.
Love it.
What your purpose is. And I was like, who are you? How do you even, like, I was shocked. This gentleman helped me go through my first breakthrough session. I witnessed Marianne Hickman do a breakthrough on stage, and I said, I'm supposed to do that. By the end of the 4 days, I was signed up to get certified as a breakthrough facilitator. And I had started realizing, no, like my music is my gift and I can create it to be a full-time job. And I started figuring out ways to add classes, to add daytime students, to add adult students, and I left my sister's company, and I ended up tripling my business in 2024. I ended up in Forbes Riley's inner circle. I ended up in Marianne Hickman's hive. I found mentors, and it completely it's changed my life. So him looking at me and telling me that if I gave 100% that weekend and really listened, that was probably the pivotal moment, because I'm still in awe about that moment. I'm like, wow.
That's awesome. I love that. The synchronicity of life. We're in the right place at the right time for the right thing we need to hear or feel or experience. And this is where it's like being in the flow. That's exactly like being in the flow. I love those moments. So thank you for sharing that. Before we part, Kristy, is there I like to call them pearls of wisdom. Is there a pearl of wisdom or some nuance that you'd like to leave the listening audience with as they awaken their potential?
I would tell people, don't play small. Believe that whatever you are passionate about can become what provides for you.
Exactly.
And I think that's an important thing. I'd heard that before, like, do what you love, make what you love your work, and then you'll never work a day in your life. But I always was like, but what I love it's not like, I didn't believe that what I loved could do that. But now I realize, no, it really can. Like, if you're passionate about something and you really, like, it brings you joy to do it,
Absolutely.
do it. That's what I would say. I would say, do it. Figure out a way to make that a huge part of your life. And you might have to have other things too, like involved, right? Like, that's okay. But don't give it up. Don't wait till you're 46 to actually publish your music. Don't wait that long to finally believe in yourself enough to be like, oh, I can make the thing I love my full-time gig instead of my part-time gig.
Exactly.
And it took a push. I have someone push me to say, you can do this. And it took a push. I wanted to be a concert keynote speaker for 15 years. And it wasn't until Marianne Hickman said, pick a date, make it happen, pick a date. And I was like, okay, I will. And I did, right? But one, I would say, get a coach. If
Yeah,
you don't feel like you don't have the confidence to go forward yourself, get in those circles with the people who will give you the confidence to step forward.
absolutely.
And those are the things that I realized, and I'm so grateful. It's interesting. 2024 has been definitely a mountain year where I've been at the highest highs and I've had some of the lowest lows, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I look forward to seeing what your 2025 is all about.
That's right.
Who
More
knows? You
greatness to
might be
come,
back
right?
next year. Exactly. Take care. And remember when
It'll be so good. It'll be so good.
it keeps getting better. How does it keep getting better than this, right? And I keep reminding myself of them. It
And it's the
is.
gratitude, right? So I could spend every
Absolutely.
day focused on the fact I'm still paying back debt, right? Or I can spend every day focused on, look at all the things I'm learning, look at all the people I'm meeting, look at all the
Exactly.
songs I'm writing, and focus on the relationships.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm choosing to put my focus is, you know what? I only get
Love it.
one life, and I'm going to focus on all the people I can impact. And in the end, everything else will work out.
Always. Love it. Kristy, thank you. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so grateful you took the time and, came and joined us today and love it.
Thank you
Thank
so much. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. And thank you for our listening audience for joining us today on the Awakening Potential Show. And as you step back into the world, your world, remember the bridge from the ordinary to the extraordinary is built with small steps of change and big leaps of faith. So let today's insights from Kristy Hunter be a guiding light as you navigate your own journey. And remember, growth isn't about reaching an endpoint. It's about exploring what's possible. If today's episode sparked a new idea or inspired a fresh approach, let the energy move you forward. You are meant to be extraordinary. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep awakening your potential. Bye for now.